In the modern world, being a CEO, an investment banker, or a social media influencer makes you successful. You have status, money, and power. But let's be real for a second. The moment the dead start walking, your net worth drops to absolute zero. The service economy evaporates instantly. That means 80% of the modern workforce has skills that become obsolete overnight. The hierarchy of society is gonna flip. The investment banker or Fortune 500 executive has no survival value when the infrastructure collapses. The guy who knows how to bleed a radiator, gut a deer, or set a bone is the new 1%. We aren't looking at cool jobs here. We're looking for jobs that provide sustainability, defense, and maintenance. If you don't have any of these skills, or one of these people in your group, your post-apocalyptic value drops. Let's kick things off with the hunter. Most people think their value comes from shooting, but that's only a small part of the job. The real skill is surviving off the land, staying hidden and knowing how to safely process, preserve, and store food and water. If they kill a deer, that's roughly 50 pounds of meat. Without a refrigerator, it spoils. A true hunter knows how to field dress, smoke, salt, or dry cure meat without electricity. Kill without those skills, and those 50 pounds of food turn into a maggot pile. Survival isn't just about killing, it's about preservation. Noise is another factor. Anybody could pull a trigger, sure, but every gunshot is a dinner bell for any zombie in a 5-mile radius. A good hunter uses bows, traps, and quiet tactics, all which are reusable, silent, and deadly. You could survive weeks without food, but only days without water. A hunter knows how to find and purify water in the wild without filters or gadgets, keeping you alive when everything else fails. In a world where silence, resourcefulness, and practical skills are survival, you either want to be this person or have this person on your side. Next up is one of the most important jobs for survival, the farmer. When people think of farming, they usually picture a modern industrial operation, something with huge fields, massive machinery, chemical inputs, and incredible yields. And in normal life, that system works extremely well. It feeds millions. The mistake people make is assuming that because humans farm for thousands of years without electricity, modern farming automatically works without modern systems. Unfortunately, that's not how this works. Ancient farming was built around stable seed lines, manual labor, and local soil management passed down over generations. Modern farming isn't built around efficiency and scale. It depends on diesel, synthetic fertilizer, pesticides, replacement parts, and hybrid seeds that are designed for one perfect season. Those hybrid seeds don't reproduce reliably. They're not meant to. If you save seeds from a modern hybrid crop and plant them the following year, you lose consistency, yield drops, timing becomes unpredictable, and entire harvests can fail. In normal life, that's not a problem because farmers buy new seeds every spring. In a collapse, that option disappears. That doesn't mean modern farmers are useless. Their knowledge of crops, weather, and irrigation, and large-scale planning is incredibly valuable. The problem is that most of their experience is tied to industrial systems that stop functioning the moment supply chains break. A tractor doesn't matter if you can't fuel it. Machinery doesn't matter if you can't replace parts. And a massive acreage doesn't matter if you can't regenerate seed soil. The farmer you actually want is a seed-saving homesteader, someone who already grows open-pollinated crops, saves fresh seeds every season, and maintains soil fertility through compost, manure, and crop rotations instead of chemical schedules. They already operate low input systems that keep working even when society shuts off. In a zombie apocalypse, modern farmers can still contribute knowledge, but the homesteader never depends on fuel deliveries, fertilizer trucks, or genetically engineered seed stocks to begin with. One model assumes the world keeps running, the other survives when it does not. So for all the people who think they could just magically download their ancestors' knowledge, it doesn't work that way. You either do this or you don't. Next up, let's take a look at the metalworkers. And that could either be a blacksmith or a fabricator, because we are effectively going back to the Iron Age. And no, it's not so they can make you a cool katana. That's another tangent I can go off on. Katanas are absolute butt cheeks in a zombie apocalypse. And if you think otherwise, you've been massively misinformed. They look cool in movies and TV shows, but in reality, katanas are a nightmare to work with. They need years of training to avoid slicing your own fingers off. And if your blacksmith doesn't craft one, which you almost certainly won't be able to do due to how hard it actually is, the ones you loot will more than likely be cheap replicas that bounce off the targets. It'd be extremely rare to find an authentic katana. That being said, there's almost no reason to use one when a crowbar or a baseball bat can reliably crush skulls, and you don't need any special skills to be able to swing one. Anyway, the metal worker is essential because they can make weapons that actually work. Like spears and pikes, for example. And no, I'm not saying this is all they can make. That extra reach can help keep you alive. Furthermore, they turn vehicles into tanks. When bullets run out, and they will run out, the person who can turn a car leaf spring into a machete or forge reusable broadheads for hunters is one of the most powerful people in the apocalypse. They're basically the arms dealer of the new world. Next up, we have the mechanic. But early on, you're going to want an old school mechanic. Someone who understands carbureted engines and mechanical systems, not just computers. Gasoline has a shelf life. It degrades into varnish after a while. Modern vehicles depend on clean fuel, sensors, and electronics, which all fail once batteries die and supply chains collapse. An old school grease monkey who understands biofuels, diesel conversion, and wood gasification is invaluable in the early years. Wood gasifiers are a real technology. You burn wood in a sealed container, create flammable gas, and pipe it into an engine to keep trucks moving. Here's a bit of history with these wood gasifiers. During World War II, nearly every motorized vehicle in continental Europe was adapted to run on wood gas due to gasoline shortages, with around 500,000 vehicles in Germany alone. These used generators, like the Imbert design from the 1920s, to produce a combustible gas from wood chips powering cars to trucks, buses, and even tanks. That being said, most old school mechanics won't actually know how to build a wood gasifier, but they already understand engines at a mechanical level. Modern mechanics can learn too, but they're used to working with software, diagnostics, and replacement parts that won't be easy to access anymore. That doesn't mean modern mechanics aren't capable. It just means old school mechanics start with a better baseline skill set, and here's a hot take some folks might not have considered. Long term, electric vehicles start to look pretty damn good. Some people scoff at them now, but during the apocalypse, they'd come in clutch. Electric vehicles don't need fuel, engine oil, spark plugs, or complex mechanical maintenance. They have far fewer moving parts, and electricity can be generated locally. Solar panels, small wind setups, hydro, or salvage grid infrastructure can all recharge an EV long after gas stations are empty. You don't need refined fuel, you just need electrons. That doesn't mean EVs are perfect. Battery degradation is still a problem. Replacement packs are hard to find, and cold weather hurts range. But once fuel logistics collapse completely, an EV paired with local power generation becomes one of the only vehicles that can keep moving without scavenging the world dry. So early in the apocalypse, the old school mechanic keeps the convoy alive, with the potential to power vehicles with wood gasifiers midterm. Later in the apocalypse, the mechanic who understands electrical systems, battery management, and solar integration slowly becomes more valuable. Up next for shelter, we have carpenters, but specifically the ones who understand framing and structural work. When battery packs die and generators run dry, the difference isn't who owns a drill, it's who knows how structures actually hold weight and resist force. Tents offer zero protection against zombies. Regular houses are barely better, because glass shatters easily and interior doors are hollow and weak. A good carpenter knows how to board windows properly, using load distribution instead of random planks, reinforce door frames so they don't fail when multiple bodies press against them, and brace structures so repeated impacts don't slowly weaken the building. This is also how you start thinking bigger. The Walking Dead didn't get it wrong with walls. Closing off streets, alleys, or entire sections of town with timber walls, gates, and funnels is one of the most effective ways to create a controlled space. You'd want a skilled carpenter to be in charge of building the perimeter walls. And this isn't just about blocking entry points either. It's about controlling noise and visibility as well. Because poorly secured boards rattle, loose panels amplify sound, and gaps create sightlines that draw zombies towards movement inside. A skilled carpenter seals, braces, and deadens a structure, so it stays quiet under pressure. They also understand how weight works. Stairs collapse, floors fail, and roofs cave in when people overload them. A good carpenter understands the load paths well enough to prevent a safe house from becoming a death trap during a panic rush or a nighttime breach. And sleep matters too. Chronic stress, sleep deprivation, and constant adrenaline wreck decision making and turn groups hostile. A secure shelter doesn't just keep zombies out, it lowers stress hormones and stabilizes the group. The carpenter doesn't just build walls. They buy safe nights, clear thinking, and a base that doesn't fall apart the first time the undead lean on it. And last but not least is a doctor. Not just any doctor though. I'm talking about a trauma surgeon. Not a general doctor, not a diagnostician. Because identifying a rash or managing blood pressure doesn't matter when someone gets shot, stabbed, and has their leg crushed in a collapse, or needs a limb amputated to try and stop the spread of the virus after being bitten. We have to be honest about what medicine looks like in the new world. Depending on how late into the apocalypse it is, there might not be anesthesia, there is no morphine, there is no sterile operating room, probably no antibiotics on hand, and no second chances. Medical care reverts to its most basic purpose. Stop bleeding, remove dead tissue, and keep the patient alive long enough to heal on their own. You need someone with the psychological resilience to operate on a conscious, screaming patient without freezing or hesitating. Trauma surgeons are trained to work fast, make irreversible decisions, and prioritize survival over comfort. They know exactly where to cut, how much tissue to remove, and when amputation is the only option before infection spreads through the bloodstream and shuts the body down. This is not about saving limbs. It's about saving lives. Infections were one of the leading causes of death throughout human history, long before antibiotics existed. Without proper wound cleaning, debridement, which is just a fancy word for removing damaged tissue or foreign objects from a wound, cuts can turn septic, a puncture wound festers, a rusty nail becomes a death sentence. A trauma surgeon understands how to clean wounds aggressively, control bleeding, and close injuries in ways that give your immune system a fighting chance. They also understand triage. Not everyone can be saved, and knowing who to treat first is the difference between one survivor and none. That mindset is uncomfortable, but it's essential when resources are limited and time is measured in minutes. And then there's dentistry. A dental abscess can kill you once the infection spreads to the jaw or the bloodstream. A trauma surgeon, or anyone with surgical training, can drain infections, pull teeth, and prevent a slow, miserable death that no amount of toughness can power through. This isn't as heroic or romantic as movies make it seem. It's ugly, it's violent, and it's mentally scarring. But in a zombie apocalypse, the trauma surgeon isn't there to make you comfortable. They're there to keep you alive in a world where even minor injuries are fatal if no one knows what to do. And that's why they earn a spot on the list. Alright, so who actually wins? What is the absolute best profession to take into the apocalypse? If you're a lone wolf, the winner is the hunter. A farmer needs land, time, and people to defend it. Or the crops just turn into a loot drop for raiders, or the farmers become a meal for the dead. A trauma surgeon is likely the most vulnerable out of all the professions I mentioned. They're also irreplaceable, but they're a high-value target with limited mobility and no way to disappear. The hunter could vanish into the woods, trap their own food, purify their own water, avoid zombies, and stay off the radar for years. But survival is not the same as rebuilding. If you want civilization to come back, the farmer is king. You can survive without electricity, cars, or modern medicine, but you cannot survive without food. Farmers don't just grow calories, they anchor people to one place. And yes, before anyone says it, many farmers are already trained with firearms. I know. Protecting crops and livestock from predators is part of the job. They aren't helpless, but even armed farmers still need others to help defend, maintain, and stabilize a permanent settlement. And that's where the rest of the team matters. A carpenter is what turns land into a defensible home. Crops don't matter if zombies can push through your doors, and people don't last long without safe sleep. The carpenter gives you walls, gates, reinforced buildings, and a controlled space. Without them, every farm or settlement will eventually get overrun. In a perfect world, you'd have every single one of these professions in your group, but let's say you could only choose 3 for your survival squad. If that were the case, this would be the holy trinity out of the professions I mentioned today. You'd take the hunter to scout, move silently, filter water, secure food, and preserve it, and keep zombies or people from ever knowing you were there. You'd also take the farmer to make survival permanent, feed people long-term, and give civilization a reason to exist again. And then you take the trauma surgeon, because sooner or later everyone bleeds. These roles can all support each other. Both the hunter and farmer have firearms training. The hunter feeds you in between the farmer's crop yields, and the surgeon keeps everyone alive when things go wrong. Together they form a balanced, self-supporting team. Alright guys, if you made it to the end, I appreciate that as always, and if you didn't know, I have a Discord server if you want to check that out and make some friends, shoot the shit, or I have a gaming channel if you're interested in seeing me game there from time to time, and you guys are more than welcome to pop over there and leave me some suggestions of what to play. And a quick thank you to my YouTube and Patreon members, I appreciate all of you.